Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to this episode of Anhar. Anhar is always presenting you with important topics that are of extreme importance to our society. What would you think of becoming a parent? Well, you may be already a parent. But if one were to become a parent, what are the questions we should ask ourselves? Are we looking for a marriage for the sake of it, or are we looking for a father or a mother for our children? So this calls for a deep dive into what are the intricacies of becoming a parent, being a parent, and extending kindness to parents. So to delve into this topic, we have Dr. Ibrahim Zakaria Musa. Thank you very much for coming over for us to present a case on kindness to parents and becoming parents. These two aspects of parenthood, becoming parents and being kind to one's parents, these two aspects seem to be linked very, very closely to each other.
Yeah.
How would you break this down for us?
Yeah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you very much once again for having me on this program. We are going to discuss a very significant topic in many ways, which has a deep touch in our daily life, and also the topic itself were significant in a sense that it depends upon the formation of a whole nation or society at large. Therefore, parenthood is a very important topic that we need to discuss on and off and repeatedly to remind us of our the importance and the responsibilities that we lie ahead towards fulfilling this important matter. Now, to become a parent, to be a father and become a mother is not a choice of our own. Of course, as a lifetime or we select our partner in and bring to our wedlock marriage, we marry on our own choice. But once we marry and we start a married life, and out of that life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when rewards us with children, there starts the huge responsibility of being a parent. And here we should ponder a while and see how sacred is, how noble is to be a parent, because it is a relationship made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why once you got children, you are not supposed to break your marriage. Once you break the marriage, you divorce, it means you are inflicting psychological as well as physical harm on your children. It will have a very huge impact once two parents separate. As I mentioned, to be a parent is not by your choice. So you have to honor that bond, that relationship between a father and the son, between a mother and her son. So this relationship particularly is very sacred, as it is been established by, rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For that you have to honor to be a parent. And unfortunately, somehow, along the way, if a two person happen to be separated for really valid reason, even though you have no right to jeopardize the relation bond that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established between you and your son or your children. Because once you are a father, for your whole life you become a father. You cannot say that to a certain time I'm no more a father, and mother cannot claim that he is no more a mother once she become a mother. But of course, two lovers or two couples, once they married and they separated, they may claim that I am no more your wife, no more your husband. It's up to your choice. But as a father, as a mother, you have no right to claim that I'm not your father, no more your father, no more your mother. So therefore, I'm just giving sort of a simple example to realize, to understand how huge the responsibility is, the sacredness of this bond that has been between a father and mother, between their children. So the more stronger the bond you have with your children and with your spouse, the more stronger the society as well. Because the family institution itself is the foundation of any given society, and the cornerstone of the society is family. So once the family is very strong, you will have a very strong society put together, because through this relationship it develops other relations as well. That is why in our religion, Islam, so much so advocates about honoring the blood ties of the relatives, to honor those relations to the maximum, without having any choice to cut off. We don't have that choice to cut off between blood relations. And one of the most sacred blood relations is between children and their fathers and mothers. So therefore, to be a parent, once you become a parent, once you become a mother, once you become a father, you have a high level responsibility. Now you have to vibrate at a very high frequency, high level, not at a very low level, just taking everything very easily. That is why, sometimes I wonder whether the current generation, if I am not mistaken, not all, majority of the youth, of course, but those who are just carelessly starting this married life, I would wonder whether they do they know very well what is the noble purpose of marrying, what is the noble achievement that you are going to achieve out of marriage. Now, in Quran, we have different type of role models prescribed in our daily life, if you want to emulate all those role models to be implemented in your life, one such role model, in terms of establishing a good family, developing a good family, or planning a family, you look at what Ibrahim alayhi salam planned. Now, according to his plan, when he asks for Allah, when he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a child at his very old age, he didn't ask just for a child without having any plan. Rather, he has a very long plan. He wanted to establish a generation of good human being, leaving behind a legacy, not just merely have a child. That's why he didn't ask for a child. He asked for a legacy. That is why in chapter 14, verse 40, he said, "Make me and my descendants among those who establish prayer." What does it mean? He is asking Allah not only for a child, but his descendants, his progenies, leaving behind a legacy, obeying the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being a good servant, sincere servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the plan he has is a very long-term plan, not a short-term, not a mid-term plan. So likewise, we Muslims are obliged to have that kind of legacy. Now, how can you expect from your children, if you don't have that kind of plan to nurture and educate and guide them as a very productive, good human being, leaving behind them of this world, expecting from them that they are going to pray for you while you are in eternal life, you are in your next world. That is why our Prophet, peace be upon him, very rightly said, once we die, we depart from this world, everything will be cut off except three things. One such thing is that you leave behind a legacy where your children is praying for you. As long as your children are praying for you while you are in the grave, your good deeds will never end. The book that has been registered your whole good deeds or bad deeds, whereas your good deeds will be continuously registering as long as your children are praying for you, as long as your children are following the right path guided by you, by parents, I mean. So if any parent, any father, any mother wants to leave behind a legacy, wants to have your children pray for them while they depart from this world, they are obliged to nurture them, educate them, guide them in a way that they can carry forward that legacy. Otherwise, you are going to end up in a very miserable situation, and whereby no one can help you, and your misery and your regret will never help you. So therefore, the married couples or marriage itself has a huge responsibility of bringing up a good generation of children who can take up the responsibilities of their father and honoring them even though they are not in their sight.
I think you're saying that marriage or a family is the cornerstone of our society. I think those who are already parents can very easily relate to this fact that what is it been, what it takes to become a parent, or what it takes to establish a family, and what aspects of those relations hold the family together. When we say family, we are talking about the sustainability of the society as the social bond, in terms of social bond and the social cohesion of the society. Sustainability of the society very much depends on, as you said, the institution of marriage. So marriage has to be, that means has to be sought for a very, very lofty purpose, very high purpose. So the sanctity of marriage is therefore it's at the apex in terms of purpose, level of purpose, no doubt. So if the issue here is when marriage and children and family is the cornerstone of society's sustainability, and if we consciously don't choose a good marriage, and if we consciously don't choose a good marriage partner, good in the sense that what do we mean by good? So what criteria would determine who is a good husband, who is a good wife, who is a good potential mother, who is a good potential father? So we have to weigh the pros and cons of becoming a mother, becoming a father, and choosing a life partner, definitely. So how do we, definitely it's a tight walk, tight rope we have to walk. So this delicate balance, how do we achieve this delicate balance in terms of choosing the right life partner?
You know, there is a profound example, very inspiring example mentioned in Holy Quran. In chapter 29, verse 41, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave an example of the house of a spider. In that example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the weakest house is the house of the spider. So if you go deep into this example, the elaboration of the weakest house, what is the wisdom behind describing the web of a spider or the house of a spider as the weakest? It's, in terms of its constructual design and the material it has a very strong thread, and the silks are very strong. Structural wise, it is very strong. Even though Allah has mentioned that it is the weakest house. So when we look into this example, why the spider's house is being described as the weakest house, not in terms of its structural perspective, structural perspective, but in terms of a livelihood or the living standard or the chaos that has inside the web. As the scientists, the biologists would explain to us what is the nature of a spider, especially the black widow. The nature of the black widow is like when the male and female mates, the female start chasing the male out of the web.
So very unhealthy relationship.
Yeah, a very unhealthy relationship. Start chasing out of the house. And the siblings, the small spiders, start attacking each other and fighting among each other and ultimately killing their mother as well.
That's not just absence of goodwill, it is presence of ill will.
Exactly. So the weakest house is spider's house. Allah has described very perfectly to elaborate, to explain that the family is not being described by the concrete walls in which they live, but the family is described or termed as the bond they have, the honor they have together. So the house, the house itself is being explained or described as a strong shelter, a strong provider or caretaker, rather than a war zone. So the house itself is being explained according in terms of its functionality, which I mean that when you see a house where dwellings, people who are living in, have a very unhealthy relationship, mother and father and children have totally cut off from each other, or you can describe it as a war zone.
Even if it is a mansion?
Even if you look the house outwardly, it's a
palace,
or a concrete, a very strong building, but within that building, within that strong building, those who are living in do not have that kind of sacred bond. Then it is meaningless to have a huge, strong building. So it is not a shelter, it is not a sanctuary. Rather, it is a war zone, fighting area where they have very conflicting and chaotic situation. Therefore, Quran has described the spider's nature of living as a very weakest house in terms of the leakest and weakest bond they have between their progenies.
So a house can be, regardless of its physical structure, a house can be described as a very weak and flimsy place, a place where there is treachery, where there is no goodwill, and so the ultimate net result will be no happiness. There won't be any happiness. So we are coming to many more questions after a break. Do stick around. Welcome back. Parents, to become a parent is a very noble responsibility. And as you said, it's not chosen. You don't choose necessarily to become a parent. You may have intentions. There are people who have that intention, but they have not become parents unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it happen. So, and yet parents, whoever is fortunate to become a parent, a mother or a father, they are the purveyors of goodness for the children, and they are the progenitors of goodness to their children. So as progenitors of goodness, as progenitors of sustainability for the next generations, they are passing their children to the next generation, passing on their children on to the next generation with proper upbringing. So child rearing is a very noble responsibility as well. So that is extremely rewarding, and that is the additional dimension of love to a woman's life or to a man's life as a father and as a mother. Because prior to that dimension of love, or that bond which comes because of one being a father or because of one being a mother. So that existence of that relationship is a special dimension of love that is added to the already existing love. So that happiness, how much of a happiness does it generate in a family because of this fatherly love, motherly love within a family, and how does it contribute to the national development as a constituent unit of the society?
Yeah,
a healthy family being a very important constituent unit of the society.
Yeah, as I had mentioned earlier, that family is the cornerstone of any given society, where the stronger the family bond is, the stronger the development also will be developed accordingly. When you have a very fragmental, a very fragile society, where you have broken families emerging everywhere, that means you have a very weak society, where you don't have a chance to make any development, any sense of its meaning. So bond, the marriage bond has to be very firm, and marital life, is not a joke. You can't take it as a joke. It's a very serious matter, and when you enter into the marital zone, it means you are entering to shoulder huge responsibilities. You have to prepare yourself to shoulder those responsibilities, because once you marry, you take a lifetime partner as your wife or your husband, you are confessing yourself that I am going to take the huge responsibility towards my society, towards my nation, and towards the entire human society living around. Once a person married to a woman, or women married to a man, thereby bringing so many families, so many people together through these relations. That is why we have to take it very seriously, and to struggle to the maximum in order to maintain that relationship. Because once this relationship is broken, believe me, you are breaking a huge bond that has been established in order to bring the whole society together. And the cohesiveness that we need to be established comes through the bondage of marriage.
We seem to hear a lot about marriages are sometimes made in heaven, marriages are made in heaven. It's a statement commonly heard. But at the same time, we hear that, a career is also equally important. So a woman's achievement is cannot be. A woman's achievement is no less in terms of career advances, career advancement one achieves through sticking to a particular career. At the same time, we tend to promote that married life is also a career, becoming a mother, becoming a father, successful mother, and rearing successful children, healthy children of good psychological makeup, psychological strength, with strength of character, with extremely good personality traits in them, with fatherly love and motherly love, and with family care. So there is a natural environment. But the thing is, the young people are, and yet those who seek life partners, they happen to seek life partners because of some infatuation. So it may be so-called love at first sight, or it may be in some unknown infatuation, just they get bewitched by a young man or a young woman, and then they happen to, without much control on them, they happen to be finally ending up in a marriage. So it's kind of an accidental marriage where there is less purpose as to finding a good mother for one's child, or good father for one's child. So how do we make marriage that resonate with the young people as something that one has to seek with purpose and life goals, so as to achieve high sense of achievement?
Sometimes I to a great extent, I feel very surprised to see some of our youngsters marrying and selecting their partners very easily, comparing to what they select, their selections in terms of their other necessities in their life. Now, for example, if they go shopping to buy shoes, they have huge check and balances, whether the shoe will suit him or her, whether the size, the color, the look, everything they will check, even a small...
So whichever shoes one's gaze falls on cannot be chosen.
This is not their habit. When they go for shopping, they go shop by shop, searching for the best. You understand what I mean?
Absolutely.
For example, want to select a shirt or dress, or a computer, or a laptop, or a iPhone, whatever. But they have a very keen interest in checking whether their selection is correct or not. But when it comes to select a lifetime partner, they are not very much taking that much of intense to check and see whether my partner is correct for me or not. Some people which has a deep, direct relationship to our life. Now, for example, mistakenly, if you have
enormous consequences.
Yes, mistakenly, if you have chosen laptop which is not very suitable to you, you may replace it. Of course, there may be some loss, but you may replace it. But how come you choose a partner, lifetime partner, and all of a sudden you find that the partner is not suitable to him or her, and ultimately you have children, and you are required to depart and to break up that relationship? What will be the consequences? You see, compare the consequences between what you select material things from the market and what you select as a partner in your life, comparing these two selections, which will have the huge repercussions if it is a bad selection. Therefore, you require utmost attention to select a suitable partner. Now, the question will be, when I read the faces of people, or when we see people, we don't know whether this is a good person or bad person. How can we select a right partner? Whereas laptops, computers, or iPhones or smartphones, they have specifications. We can read the specifications. What are the functions it has? What are the features it has? So going through those features, booklets, we can find out which is best for us or which is not good for us. But as far as a human being, now, regarding the selections of good partner, you have to look through his or her family life. How she or
what are the criteria that our traditions demand most?
Yeah, of course. That's why our Prophet,
what characteristics?
Yeah, Prophet, peace be upon him, said must be religiously, how her religiosity is to the maximum.
Just
what
the
is
number one
religiosity?
criteria.
Religiosity means God-fearing, has a good, strong faith,
righteousness,
and brought up in a very humble, characteristic society or family where the fathers, their fathers, their parents have instilled them and nurtured them in a manner that has brought up them in a very perfect manner, so that they perform a productive life in their career. So through this generation, through the way how their parents have brought them up, can easily judge at what standard, at what level they have brought up their behaviors and their characters. So in terms of their characters, in terms of their behaviors, in terms of their siblings, in terms of the characteristics, behavior of their siblings, we can easily find out how strongly, how they have been brought up in the society to fit in all these areas where human behavior required to be of a perfect man or woman.
So to go for the right suitor for a marriage is really an arduous task one has to do, but
Yeah.
it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
So it's part of the sacrifice. But how do we? There are parents, for example. There are people who are not fortunate enough to become parents for one reason or the other. They have not been blessed with children. Some are blessed with children. Sometimes a son only. Sometimes daughters and sons, and sometimes a bigger set of children, and lesser sometimes with less children. But yet, is there any scope in terms of worldly benefit and the benefit in the afterlife to adopt children? Is there, what goodness can that bring, the adoption of children bring to our society or to the family that does adopt, so as to bring up, to rear them as, to bring them up as good children?
Yeah, actually, Islam encourages very much to rear and to look after, to care of orphans, those who have no parents, and of course Islam does not allow to adopt children as the Western culture promotes, to adopt children and to regard them as their own children. Rather, Islam encourages to look after, to give the utmost care to orphans, just like they are children, but there are certain rules and regulations that has to be applied for your own biological children and those who you are adopting and looking after and taking care of them as orphans. So taking care of orphans is a very noble and promising tasks that Islam promotes and encourages to carry forward in order to give them a shelter, give them a protection, give them rather than leaving behind, leaving alone with no protection and no other kind of sanctuary.
So it could be done within your dwelling as well as it could be done by sponsoring children while they are at another family.
There are different ways. There are different ways. Either you can bring them your home and regard them as and treat them just like your own children, just like treat them fairly, treat them nicely, kindly, and educating, guiding them, so that one day they become as
so that
good citizens.
It should be. I mean, in terms of rational analysis, it sounds like it's going to be a very rewarding experience, since it will fill the emptiness of their life because of absence of children, children of their own.
Yeah, as you have mentioned earlier in your discussion that can we compromise our professions, our career, for the sake of neglecting our family life? Definitely we cannot.
So it's not a binary of having a career or having a parenthood.
No,
it's
you can't
it's not either this or that.
No, you can't.
It can
compromise.
be both.
No, you cannot compromise your family bond and your family life for the sake of building a career. If you have ruined your family building a career, then it means you are an utter failure. You have no, you are not anchoring it on any foundation. So you are just like a kite above in the air, which has which doesn't know where it is going to land.
For that ecstasy of the moment, the currency of that particular feelings of advancement in career. I mean, you get the kick out of the advancement you achieved in your career, may give you some solace as regards, I mean, happiness of life, in terms of happiness of life. But then you will reach some point in time, you will reach a stage in life where you become pretty wretched because of not having built a family for yourself. Consciously, I mean, you willfully chose not to have a family, not to marry, not to have children. So it's a different story altogether. But because of the fate or the circumstances or incidentally, you have not entered into a relationship because of, by some twist of fate or some accident of life. That is another story altogether. But consciously choosing not to marry or not to have a family, isn't it a miserable thing to do?
It's very weird to think of not marrying or not having children, because
as a liberal person,
naturally, every man is incomplete without a woman, and every woman is incomplete without a man. That is for sure. That is, if you ask what is the purpose of marriage, it's very clearly in chapter 30, verse 21, it says, the purpose of marriage is to have tranquility and peace and mercy among those who are married between.
So the tranquility is inherent in our nature?
Actually,
Is it?
It has to be created through the bond we are going to establish while we are married. So the marriage life itself brings you tranquility and happiness if you truly, have that kind of intention that I am married in order to have that tranquility and peace in our life. After all, if you ask anyone what is the most sought out things in your life, the answer simply would be tranquility, happiness, peace. What else you want if you have peace and tranquility and happiness? And Allah Almighty has promised that through this sacred bond of marriage, you are going to feel that tranquility and happiness and peace if you truly, with good intention, lead a married life.
Apparently, social research shows those who grow old, those who reach old age, I mean, what would you have done most if you had got the opportunity to enjoy life again? I mean, many people happen to say, I would have spent more time with the family. I would have cherished much love and bond with my children, my relatives, my grandparents, my parents. So the value of that blessing, we tend to realize when we lose it only. So I think we cannot overemphasize the importance of a family life and rearing good children and becoming parents.
You ask any happy man who lead in a very married happy life, ask him or her how enjoyable they are when they have a very peaceful life in their marriage.
So there is this, people dread that finding a life partner and getting into a marriage, entering into a marriage is going to be quite chaotic, and I'm going to be responsible for a man, I'm going to be responsible for a woman, and there is an additional burden. And how do you reconcile such pessimism as part of your life story, successful facet of your life story?
Yeah, actually, almost all women, they need a partner, as well as all men need a partner in order to enjoy that peace in their life. As a man, they require to have that kind of peace to be provided by their partner, as well as the women, the wife also need to have that kind of protection, because normally almost all women do not marry a man just because of out of love. Most of the women look for the sanctuary and the protection and the mercy and the attention that be needed by their partners. Therefore, the protection is very important, the care is very important in order to have a very peaceful life.
So it balances the life, it gives a sense of security, and it, as you said, it gives peace and equanimity, and it gives, obviously it gives equilibrium, perfect equilibrium to enjoy life. Dr. Ibrahim Zakaria Musa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we cannot afford to mistake lust for love and love for lust. We should be able to distinguish those to build a family so that we may build a good structure of a family edifice. Thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum.